How far would you go to prove a point? My wife made me go through a traumatic experience alone, so I made sure she felt the pain too. About 7 months ago, I had a massive stroke while at work. Luckily, the hospital was nearby and I was rushed there in time. When I regained consciousness, I asked the nurse to call my wife. She told me that my wife refused to come, saying she had a prior commitment, and asked if I had another emergency contact. I didn't. The nurse handed me my phone with a sympathetic smile, and I called my wife myself. She answered casually and asked how I was doing. I told her to come see for herself. She laughed and said she couldn't. She was at the airport, about to board a girls' trip flight, and didn't want to miss it. Then she sent me selfies with her friends at the gate. To make things worse, she asked if I could send her some extra money for souvenirs. I was too weak to argue. I just hung up and went back to sleep. A few days later, I called a friend to help discharge me from the hospital. When my wife finally came home, she immediately started berating me for hanging up on her and not answering her calls during her trip. She even complained that she had to borrow money from a friend because I didn't answer when she needed an ATM withdrawal. I sat quietly while she ranted until I couldn't take it anymore. I told her that maybe she could show even the tiniest bit of concern about the fact that I had just suffered a stroke. She looked at me, shrugged, and said, "You seem perfectly fine. That hospital thing was days ago." That night, I slept on the couch, rethinking everything. I knew deep down she married me for my money, but I had wanted to believe she cared at least a little. I needed her to feel what I felt. The next day, she went out and got into a serious highway accident. When her brakes failed, she was hospitalized, but alive. She tried to call me, crying, looking for comfort. I told her I was busy at work. She called me petty. I told her maybe if she apologized for abandoning me during my stroke, I'd consider visiting. She got furious, saying her car accident was more serious than my stroke. I laughed and hung up. An hour later, she called again, voice trembling. The credit card I gave her was declined. Her insurance company had investigated and said the car was tampered with. They suspected fraud and denied her coverage. She was panicking, unable to connect the dots that I had sabotaged the car. I told her she should stay another night at the hospital, just like I had to. Back at home, I danced around the house, genuinely happy. For once, she knew what it felt like. The next morning, I picked her up from the hospital. Since then, she's been noticeably sweeter, more caring, and definitely more appreciative.